Folks, Brandon Harms here from HMH. In this video, I'm going to cover a few things related to the Read 180 on Ed program. First, I'm going to show you how to associate Read 180 with your classes. What that's going to do is that's going to give you and your students access to Read 180. For your students, that's going to give them access to the Read 180 app, and for you, it's going to give you access to the Read 180 resources on your Discover page. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to then show you how to set up your class to automatically place students in Read 180 based off of their HMH growth measure assessment. I'll discuss how you can manually change that placement if you need to, and how you can manually add in that growth measure placement for students who come after you've done that first initial setup. Okay, so I know that might sound slightly confusing. Let me go ahead and show you how this works. So the first step is we're going to navigate from our dashboard on Ed to My Classes. When you get to the My Classes page, what we want to do is you're going to see a list of tiles for your classes. Or if you have one class, you'll see just one tile. We're going to click View Class for one of the classes that you need to associate Read 180. So I'm going to click View Class, and then what I'm going to see is an overview of the products and programs that are aligned to that class already. But on the left-hand side, if you click Program Settings, you'll be able to add more programs. Now this is organized into sections, so you're going to scroll past the mathematics section if you have it. And ultimately, you're not going to have as many products as you see here in my account, but rather just the products that have been purchased by your district. In the Reading and Language Arts section, again, it won't be this comprehensive. When you see the section or the place where it shows Read 180, you're going to check the box for any or all of the Read 180 options available. So you can see Read 180 Stage A, Stage B, and Stage C. You probably don't have Language Launch, but also notice HMH Growth Measure Reading. Now, if your students already took growth measure, obviously you have that associated and the students have access. But if you have not, if they have not taken it, make sure you associate growth measure as well. So you're going to check all the boxes that you need. And then when you scroll to the top, I'm just going to add in the Spanish version, which you probably don't have and don't need, but I'm going to do that just because if you don't make any changes, your button is not going to be active. I want to show you what that looks like. So when I scroll back to the top, I'm going to see I do have one more step after I check the boxes. I do need to come back up and click Save and Update. That'll then let me know that my programs have been saved, and those programs will now be available on my Discover page in the drop-down under Select a Program. So you can see I already have Read 180 Stage B chosen, but you can see I have the other options available right there. So that's adding Read 180 to both your class for you and your students. Make sure if you have multiple classes that you do that with each class, because it will add Read 180 for you no matter how many classes you add it to. Just adding it once gives the access to you. But it doesn't necessarily give it access to the other classes. It only gives access to the one class. So for your students, make sure you add Read 180 to each class where the students are going to need access to the app. All right, the second process. This is also going to happen in My Classes. So we're going to go to My Classes. We're going to click View Class just like we did before. But instead of program settings, in order to have the Read 180 program place your students based off of their growth measure, you're going to choose Class Settings. When you get here, you may default to Google Classroom. Make sure you switch over to Read 180. Once you do that, you're going to see this first drop-down that says Placement. When I click that drop-down, I'm going to see possibly a stage chosen, but I might not have a stage chosen. What you need to do is make sure you choose a stage. B, remember, is middle school. C is high school. Once you choose a stage, you're going to want to click inside the third little button, the one that says Adjust Placement Recommendations based on HMH Growth Measure. Once you do that, it is going to bring up a list of all the students, and it'll let you know if they have already taken growth measure. It'll let you know that, but if it has not, you're going to see no test found. So that gives you an indication of students you may want to have take growth measure, or you can always manually place them. If you click the drop down, you'll see your placement options. Now, any students that are currently rostered, when you go ahead and you add that radio button for choosing adjust based on growth measure, this is now going to go ahead and take anybody who's taken growth measure and place them based off of that in the Read 180 platform. However, any students who get added to your class after you do this process, you'll need to go in and manually do this for those individual students. To do that, you do not need to come back to this same place. To do that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the students section. So I've now added in to place students based off of the Read 180 app. That is all set. What happens, however, is I don't want you to think that it's going to stay checked inside that little radio button. So when you leave and you come back, it's not going to be in there again. That took place when you clicked inside of there. But for any students that come after the time you did that, so let's say you do that today, any students who get added to your class after today, you're going to want to come to your students section for that class. And you're going to see for each student, there's going to be off to the right-hand side, an actions little ellipse here. When I click that, I'm going to see edit student profile. Depending on if you have Math 180, it might say edit Math 180 placement. And then you're going to see edit student settings. When you click edit student settings, you'll see this similar drop down to what we saw before, but this is just for one specific student. So now I click placement and I'm going to be able to come in and have it adjust based off of, and this student was in the class already, but you can see it'll have the adjust placement based off of HMH growth measure. So adjust placement recommendations based off of HMH growth measure. When I click inside there, that's going to add that for that student who was not in the class when I did that for the whole class. All right, I hope that all makes sense. I want to keep this video pretty short, but as questions arise and as issues come up, please feel free to reach out to your administrators and or your coaches, and they can bring to us any information that we might need to create a new video or a flowchart to provide to you. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.